Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection. Headline edition will bring you special reports and interviews in a moment.
How you doing? This is a guy from Pittsburgh. Hi to Penn Hills. Hi to Brad. Brad Julio. Send me an airline ticket, Brad. You want to meet me? Round trip to the Berg. Not on U.S. Air. Used to be Allegheny Airlines. Don't trust the mountain-to-mountain service because they used to crash in the mountains all the time. That's what they were famous for when they were Allegheny. I'll take a free airline ticket to the Berg and back. I'm half kidding about that, but if some industrialists back in the Berg, the Steelers, the Pirates owners, Iron City Beer moved out of the Berg, or the Duquesne Beer guys who are still in the Berg as far as I know, or one of them artsy-fartsy cultural center guys wants to chip me a few bucks, how about John Kerry? He can send me a few dollars. His wife's got some money to spare. And I can go down to the Oyster Bar, Permani, meet Brad, see my nephew and my relatives, and we can all sit there and eat sandwiches, and I can do a video of it. So anyway, there's lots of news going on. Went to the Pacific Pinball Museum on Friday, went to the former Alameda Naval Air Station, saw the Hornet there. My girlfriend had never seen ships that big, and her eyes bugged out. There's this woman online, she can get her eyes to bug out by themselves. She got hit by a hockey mask, and it's really creepy. There's a video on YouTube. You need to see it. Her eyes just come out, and they pop all the way out of her head. I mean, the whole eye. It's disgusting and yet fascinating at the same time. It makes my eyes hurt to look at it. Anyway, I'm going to go into weird news here. Let's see. Hold on a minute. Let me get into this. Get the music here. Here comes the comedy music. Well, there's lots of weird news going on. There's one article I found about evidence for alien abduction, fluorescence body marks. That's at evelorgan.com. I sent that to Art Bell. Not Art Bell, to George Norrie. Let's see if that shows up on Norrie's website. I sent him the duck story, and that showed up on his website. So that's a very interesting story. They have fluorescence showing up on abductees, so you need to go check that out. Here's a jerk, absolute jerk. Got 75 years in prison for knowingly transmitting HIV to an underage girl in Texas. And he knew he had HIV, and he had a relationship with a 15-year-old girl for 7 months. So that's a scumbag. Anybody who would do that should be taken out and horsewhipped and then shot or hung. So a taxpayer wouldn't have to pay for him for 75 years. That's disgusting. They should have the death penalty. You give somebody AIDS or you should be put to death. The White House has a new policy I'm reading these off my MacBook, all the notes I got, stem the flood of women and children illegally crossing the issued ankle bracelets to monitor the migrants. And some migrants are saying they're uncomfortable. There was a class action suit in 2012. The bracelets are humiliating to wear, require a 2 to 3 hour day charge, and clear restraint on liberty against individuals whose rights have already been adjudicated. Hello? What rights do you have? You're here illegally. What don't you understand about that? You don't want to have ankle bracelets? You think it's an imposition on your freedom? Go home. Don't come here. Come here legally like the other people did. The millions of people come here legally every year. And Obama wants to start a whole new bureaucracy to monitor all these people with ankle bracelets. We had 52,000 unaccompanied child immigrants, or they keep calling them immigrants. They're not immigrants. They're legal aliens. Another politically correct buzzword by the left. Come here since October 1st last year and June 15th. Another 39,000 adults come with kids. And it says here they aren't eligible for the president's deferred action, quote unquote, of deportation or path to citizenship, but they could apply for asylum. So if they all get asylum, they wind up being here anyway. We need to tell these people to go back to Guatemala, go back to Mexico, back where they came from, and we need to make efforts to get those countries to raise their standard of living and their minimum wage. And, okay, that's that story. Let's see what else is going on here. Oh, Obama's want his daughters to work minimum wage jobs. I guess they better move to Seattle with that $15 minimum wage. Said builds character. And Obama claims he worked at a Baskin Robbins. Now, I want to see him go over to Baskin Robbins. What would it be like? You walk into Baskin Robbins, summer's here, hot summer day. At least I think it's here. Let me see. I think it was supposed to start on the 21st. Let me check what day it is. Yep, that's today, first day of summer. So summer's here. You go into your local Baskin Robbins, and there's Barack Obama dishing out ice cream. Now, that's something he ought to do. I want to see, I'd pay $2 to see Baskin Robbins have Obama dishing out some ice cream on a hot summer day. As long as he doesn't talk too much. Just, what flavor do you want? Have them make make the ice cream, make up your milkshake and your, banana split, your hot fudge sundae. Put him back there, nostalgia day. Barack returns to Baskin Robbins. Baskin Robbins ought to think of it. They can do a whole commercial of Barack Obama dishing out ice cream. But, and Michelle once worked at a bindery. Now, I've bookbinded years ago when I was doing print shop at Marina Junior High School. Hello, Marina Junior High School. Hello, Penn Hills, Brad, Julio, my relatives, Jimmy, my nephew, and, of course, Free Art Bell. It ain't that hard. You take the pages, you glue them, you put them in the press, bam, they go. Bam, they're ready to go. Now, they may have machines doing that. We did it by hand back then in 1966. But they had this interview Parade magazine, and they want to have them do tough, menial gigs. Make them feel as if they're going to work and getting a paycheck that's not always fun, not always stimulating, and not always fair. Well, Obama, how about your policies that have had people not going to work, not being stimulated, definitely not being fair, as millions of people are still out of work, including millions of people in the black community you haven't done a damn thing for. So I'm sure they'll enjoy the minimum wage jobs, which lead to nowhere. Look where I wound up. It's part of my fault. I didn't save money, and I had a girlfriend just to help support over the years. And here's a guy. Now, you'd think this would be the perfect gift for the husband who has everything. Jason Biggs' wife hired a hooker for birthday threesome. And this woman appeared on The View to promote her new memoir, I Like You Just the Way I Am. And she talks about hiring a hooker for the threesome for Biggs' birthday. Some thought the tale was funny. An interesting way to spice up their marriage. Host Candace Cameron Burr, whoever the hell she is, thought it didn't run appropriate. The next day, Biggs appeared on the talk show and explained it wasn't a pleasant experience. Open people were very real people. Said the Orange is a new black star. Not a habitual thing. We don't have a group of prostitutes coming out of our house in regularity. She admitted it wasn't as hot as it but his wife found it entertaining. He didn't have a good time in the end. It took three ladies over the course of 3 days. I think the police and my wife told him it was hysterical. He was on the bed eating a bag of chips, laughing. I wasn't worried the best. The prostitute was engaged with my wife who he was. So I felt the rest of the book. That's funny. So that's a story there. That's a winner. Let's see what's the article behind you. Horrible border crisis. Opinion piece by Linda Chavez saying women are being raped. The criminal coyotes are short people across the border. They're telling parents that children are being granted a legal right to stay in the U.S. is a lie. Some have been abused, beaten, robbed, and raped. You need to check out Linda Chavez. That was in the Washington Times. And these people will go before an immigration judge eventually. We need to rewrite our immigration laws to get people to come here legally and not illegally. Okay, let's see. There's all kinds of stuff here. There's a story here. What happens? You grow up in a haunted house. There's a girl named Amy, Aime Heckle, and she tells what it was like to grow up in a haunted house. I looked that up on Huffington Post, and you need to go check that out. Said some friends would visit her and some wouldn't. So that's an interesting story. And let me read some of that. Let's see. You do your chores and clean up. It shows you care about the house and appreciate it. And it changes the energy they radiate back at you. So if you've got a messy house, the ghosts don't like it. Is that it? Where to go? I guess my 2 kitties that are in here. I did some vacuuming today. I got a great Hoover vacuum. It picks up almost everything until the thing gets full. Got a bagless Hoover. A lot better than that crappy Dirt Devil. And I'll do a review of that. I still got a lot of stuff to do in here because thank God all the stuff for my mother is over and I can get my life back together and do some work in here. If it ever cools down enough. It's still hot. It's 86 in my living room right now. And she doesn't believe houses are alive, but they're definitely not dead. Well, if they're not alive and they're not dead, then what are they? I don't get that. And she grew up in the Colorado Mountains in an old farmhouse that was built on a Native American burial site. Seems like everything is built on a Native American burial site. You ever notice that? And the house groans sounded like a slow rain stick. And we found curious objects buried everywhere in the backyard. Arrowheads, jewelry, painted rocks. You start noticing this stuff. Wouldn't you say, maybe I shouldn't build my house here? It might be haunted. The Indians that are buried here might get pissed off and haunt the house. There might be poltergeists. You ever think about that, people? Don't build your house when you start seeing native artifacts. It's not a good idea. And she wore lacy gunsack gowns and full petticoats to school. And her neighbors and I played circus. What do normal kids play? Well, I never played circus. Maybe post office or something. And she had a club with her 5 dogs. And I don't want to think about what she called her diary. And she did a goblin puppet show. And a house to the west of them was struck by lightning twice. And our new house, it was peaceful. And she missed the ghost. It was boring. So she didn't like the ghost being gone. So I guess she's going to have to find another house with some ghosts in it. Okay, let's see here. A man and 2 teens are behind bars after using a fake gun to rob a gun store in El Cajon, California. And officers received stolen guns from the robbery when they chased the guy into a storage space. And I love this name. Another one, Mikeon D. Menifee of El Cajon. Felony charges of armed robbery, conspiracy to commit armed robbery. Now, how the hell do you get conspiracy to commit armed robbery when you've already done the armed robbery? I don't get charging them with that. You do the armed robbery, you already, I guess you've already conspired with it, but that seems a weird charge to stick to the guy. I'm thinking about the armed robbery. That's a conspiracy. Got to get him for conspiracy. As well as felony evasion charges. Well, hello, he's running from the cops. You're going to charge him for that? That doesn't seem fair. So they got that guy. They didn't say anything about what happened to the two teenagers. Oh, yeah, he fled in a red 88 Chevrolet Lumina. Well, that stuck out like a sore thumb. Okay, that's that story. Trying to make these quick. Let's see. Oh, got rid of that. Well, how come it didn't show it up here? Okay, let's see what else. Bear with me. I'm clicking on this stuff. Oh, here we go. This will be right up there. Just go down to your Starbucks and say, give me a barrel. And buy a latte and take it home. Scientists use used coffee grounds turned used coffee grounds into automotive fuel. This is from Fox News. Researchers at University of Bath in England have developed a method used to turn coffee grounds to biodiesel. You soak the grounds in organic solvent oils. They didn't say what the organic solvent oils are. Maybe some of that crappy oil at the really bad Chinese restaurant we went to the other night in San Francisco. I'll do a review of that too. Oh, God, it was horrible. With 22 pounds producing a half a gallon of fuel. Now, wait a minute. You got 22 pounds for half a gallon. If you do 10 gallons minimum in your tank, my Reliant used to be a 10-gallon tank, then you're talking about 44 pounds for a gallon. That's 440 pounds of coffee grounds. Now, I got bags of cat food out there that are 30 pounds. Because I feed the cats, and I'll be doing that after I do the videos tonight. That means you're doing, let's see, 10 bags, 8 bags, 7 bags. 7 bags of 30-pound cat food equivalent to get your 10 gallons to fuel your car once. You better be doing a lot of run down to Starbucks, or you better own a Starbucks. By the way, I don't know if Starbucks are all owned by the company or there's any franchisees. I guess you better own your own coffee shop to do this. They said 8 million tons of used grounds are produced by coffee shops each year, and 20% of that is comprised of oils. Maybe that's why some of the coffee tastes like it's been sitting there for 50 years. If every Starbucks in the U.S. recycled its waste this way, the company could produce 5,000 of biodiesels per day. Now, that doesn't say if it comes with the cream or not. I don't know. Okay, let's see. Oh, here's a woman. She stuck a vibrator up her urethra and had to go to the hospital for it. I'm not even going to mention her name or anything, but it's too bizarre. Oh, I love this story. Let's see. Oh, my God. Here's a guy. Now, I'm overweight. I admit it. I'm struggling to lose weight. I've been too busy to lose weight. In case you wonder what these white things are, I got to wash my clothes, and it's baby powder. I sweat a lot. Obese Christopher Mitchell, 42, stashed cocaine and marijuana in the flesh. Now, I don't remember where I got this story, but they got a picture of this guy. He's bigger than I am. They pulled him over for motoring offenses. I think it's in the UK. Yeah, it was in the UK. He's known as Biggie and Fat Boy. He was a passenger in the car, was questioned by cops because he was too large to wear a seatbelt. By the way, I hate that seatbelt stuff. We got the biggest extenders we can get in our Toyota Prius, and it's still too small because the damn things pull back to tighten it. And my girlfriend's busty and it goes across her neck, it hurts her neck, and you feel like you're. And the Prius didn't have a lot of room, even if you weren't heavy set, because they got the consoles a lot bigger. So a drug dog was brought to the scene and raised the alarm. They found 23 grams of marijuana hidden under his stomach fat and cocaine. They also found a semi-automatic handgun and $7,000 in cash stuffed into a tube sock. Now, how'd you like to get the cash out of this guy's stinky tube sock, or smoke the marijuana, or snort the crack that's been under his stomach fold? It's all sweaty and yucky and gross under there. I hope he had a baggie. I hope he just, yeah, man, here's the pot. Man, dude, what's that smell? Ew. So, the vehicle's trunk and interior were sprinkled with carpet freshener and scented dryer sheets. A common tactic to conceal the odor of drugs when they're being transported. The driver, Keithian Roberts and Mitchell of Deltoria, Florida. Oh, this is not. This is in Florida, not England. They had pounds here, and I guess it was. I got that out of an English paper. Roberts was charged possession of cocaine. Mitchell was charged possession of marijuana. Was cited for not wearing his seatbelt. Now, in California, you can get a doctor's letter saying that you don't have to wear a seatbelt because you're too big or you have other medical problems. But my girlfriend tried that, and the doctor said I would do it. And then her supervisor came in, and she said, "Oh, I might lose my license," even though it's perfectly legal to get a letter saying exempting you from seatbelts. I ever win the lotto, one of the cars I'm buying is a pre-65 Chevy convertible, just for driving around looking great. No seatbelt required. I'll probably put one in, but it won't have this retracting thing that strangles you all the time. Okay, Hot Wheels are going to go to the Comic Con this month. That's probably this weekend. And they're going to have a Darth Vader-inspired car, $40. A James Bond-inspired Aston Martin DB5, and a version of the Homer from The Simpsons. And I'm sure those will show up on eBay, so that's kind of cool. I have a couple Hot Wheels, Bullwinkle. I'm trying to get the Bullwinkle Hot Wheels I used to have before I had my storage. I had three Bullwinkle-related Hot Wheels. Let's see, what's this? Oh, this is from the AP. Somewhere in Florida, Jackson, Toby Baker threw a football over the fence, and the officer saw it, and the football was full of marijuana, tobacco, 3 cell phones, and a partridge in a pear tree, and chargers. 22-year-old Kristen D. Moore was arraigned Thursday in Jackson District Court on contraband charges, ordered held on $50,000 bail. And they don't know if he has a lawyer or not, but he tried to throw this pot-filled, phone-filled football over the fence to somebody. Oh, the guard won't notice. Oh, boy, I tell you. Okay, let's see. What's this? Naked sunbather causes crash in Austria. Well, this woman, I saw the picture. She's hanging out the window on one of those pillows you see on the loungers. And she's dangling out of the apartment, her feet, out of her apartment in Vienna. And they don't know when it took place, but this guy said thought he was suffering sunstroke when he saw it, snapped the photo, and I was behind 2 guys at a fender bender because motorists in front took their eyes off the road to glance up at the view. The young woman was obviously keen on getting some sun in a place where it doesn't usually shine. I'm not going to touch that line. And he heard the driver cause the pileup tell another motorist, "Sorry, I was distracted." Let's see him tell his insurance company that one. Yeah, naked broad, At the time the cops came to witness statements, the woman went inside and closed her window. I wonder if she'll get sued for distraction. I don't know. Let's see here. What's this? A fatal county collision in Butler County, Pennsylvania, may have been deliberate. A woman, Hannah Swigert, a mother of 3, clocked out of her job as a supervisor at a UPS facility, hopped into her Jeep, and her husband and children waited in Butler. And then Michael Reed, a man with a trail of restraining orders and terrorizing former lovers, slid behind his Dodge Neon. He was trying to get away. 8 minutes earlier, his ex-girlfriend called 911. He had violated a protection of abuse order by breaking a window and throwing a rock at a truck in her driveway. Swigert and Reed, who have never crossed paths in life, would collide in death as Reed was speeding on Route 68, crossed the center line, slamming head-on to the Jeep and killing himself and Swigert at 11:20 p.m. They don't know what prompted him to drive against traffic, but some of his last words, Reed called her cell phone. The officer answered, tried to talk about him at the rock throwing incident. He was hostile. His words were hang up or ominous. He was going to be dead by morning. We could read about it in the paper. Now, that's really kind of creepy. So the cop called the 911 center, alerted police to be on the lookout for the guy, and by then it was too late. He was driving fast. He hit her, Mrs. Swigardt's Jeep, lifted up and over the Neon, landed on the guardrail. And the officers, he described the Neon to the police. He was told about a terrible accident between Butler and Evans City. And that's really creepy, and I feel sorry for Mrs. Swigardt's family and his family too, I guess. But boy, that's bizarre. Let's see what else is going on here. Now I can believe that air pollution linked to cognitive decline in later years. Tiny particles in vehicle exhaust, I guess now going to start blaming cars. The left will start blaming the evil automobile. May hasten cognitive decline in older adults. Yeah, that's why I'm forgetting some. I'm snorting too much exhaust fumes when I go outside. I just stick my mouth right up to that tailpipe and take a big. We decided to examine the link between air pollution and cognitive function in older adults. There's growing evidence that fine particulate matter air pollution affects brain health and development, but little attention is given to what this means for the aging brain. And she works for the Center of, try to say this thing, Biodemography and Population Health and the Andrus Gerontology Center at USC in LA. She, along with Philippa Clark at the Institute for Social Research at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, say that based on the results, improvements in air quality may be an important strategy for reducing age-related cognitive decline. Well, why don't they just have everybody buy a Prius? You get rid of the pollution and, you have a lot cleaner air. Okay, here's a story. Jack the Ripper mystery solved by top detective after 125 years. And this guy says he was dreamed up by a drunken journalist called Thomas Bulling, who wrote a forged letter to Scotland Yard in 1888 pretending to be Jack so he could obtain his scoop. And some say even a Sioux Indian warrior called Black Elk who toured Britain with Buffalo Bill was a guilty man. Others believe child charity campaigner Dr. Bernardo was Jack. But Trevor Marriott, a former murder squad detective with Bedfordshire Police, has spent 11 years carrying out a detailed cold case review of the killings. He has trawled Scotland Yard's files. Didn't know they could fit a trawler in New Scotland Yard. Amazing. And used modern-day police techniques backed up with the state-of-the-art forensic analysis. The facts of this case have been totally distorted over the years. Yeah, they didn't have a trawler back in the 1890s, I guess. Jack is supposed to be responsible for 5 victims of other similar murders before and after the ones attributed to him, both in this country and abroad in America and Germany. In total, he's discovered 17 unsolved Ripper-like murders committed between 1863 and 1894. He believes a German merchant seaman named Karl Feigenbaum was responsible for some but not all these killings. Feigenbaum was a crew member on a ship that regularly docked near Whitechapel. He was executed in New York in 1896 after being caught by U.S. police for fleeing the scene of a Ripper-style murder there. This was just a series of unsolved murders. They would have sunk into oblivion years ago but for a reporter named Thomas Bulling. Bulling was a drunken journalist. Many police contacts at Scotland Yard who was working at the Central News Agency in 1888. He was paid to supply crime stories for newspapers. Police got a letter Bulling had written about the murders in which he signed Jack the Ripper. Most ingenious piece of journalism that kept this mystery alive for 125 years. Even now, any modern-day serial killer is called a Ripper. You have to ask yourself if Jack is an urban myth. 80% of the books about him have a picture of the chap in front stalking the streets of London in a long black cape and top hat. They were the clothes of an upper-class wealthy man, but in 1888, if someone dressed like that, he wouldn't have walked around Whitechapel in the dead of night. They wouldn't have lasted 5 minutes. I've always wondered about that, too. It wasn't just one of the most crime-riddled areas of London. It was one of the most worst areas in the country. It's a false image that's been created by the likes of Hollywood filmmakers. New facts have come to light. We've now disproved the claim that the killer removed organs from the victims of the scenes of the murder. The organs were removed later once they were in a mortuary. There isn't a Jack the Ripper as such. Well, not from where I've read, but that's an interesting story. We'll see what happens with that one. Okay. This is a really gross story. Man unable to receive surgery with his cuts off his own feet with edge of jagged teacups. Lou Dune was found in a pool of his own blood. He smashed the pieces of porcelain to sever both of his limbs. He suffered an ailment that stopped blood circulation to his feet and caused permanent infections. Well, I guess he's got that blood circulating now, folks. It's only to walk a few yards before collapsing due to the incredible pain, and his feet had become black and smelly, said a neighbor. This was in China. And his parents died of the same condition 20 years ago. Mr. Dunne was left living in poverty. He also had a speech impediment. Despite living on handouts from kind-hearted neighbors, he was unable to qualify for any government-funded medical benefits. Gee, sounds like Obamacare to me. And according to the neighbor, he smashed the teacups to cut off his own feet as the pain was driving him insane. And people from the community have rallied together to raise money for emergency care after he was transported to a nearby clinic. He now hopes to have prosthetic feet attached to his legs later this year. If it works, he said, I'll be great, but I have food now, and I'm glad I have no more pain. I wonder about that false pain amputees always say they get. So that's a really bizarre story of cutting off your feet. Okay, let's see what else is here. Oh, yeah, I love this one. This is fun. There's a cow that thinks she's a dog. Adorable Milkshake was rescued by an animal sanctuary after being cooped up in a tiny cage by an animal herder who took her from her mother when she was 2 weeks old. What a jerk. By the time she was rescued and freed, poor Milkshake had never had interaction with other cows and took to following ranch worker Beth to capper around with her dog Riley. And now they're inseparable with 85 stone. I don't know what a stone is, folks. It's some England weight measure. Milkshake following blonde Beth everywhere she goes, keeping staff at the Grace Foundation Ranch in El Dorado Hills amused. Beth said when Milkshake first arrived at the ranch, she didn't even know what grass was. I spent a lot of time with her, so I became her first friend, and she started to follow me everywhere. She's not convinced she is a cow and has never been a fan of grazing. I think she thinks it's pointless finding her own food when she can wait on us bring her it to her in a bowl like her dog friend. She follows me around all day. Just like my dog, she comes and watches me tend to all the other animals. She's even followed me into the bathroom. although she was a little scared of her own reflection. In that story I found, they have pictures of the cow, so that's a cute story. She thinks she's a doggy. Let's see. Man who dresses as Spider-Man on trial for hitting woman in Times Square. This guy was a stinky Spider-Man. One of the costume characters would roam Times Square and ask people for money. He hit a passerby who didn't pay him for posing for a photo with her children in February of last year. He cursed at her and punched her in the face after she confronted him and flung a handful of snow at him. He defended himself after a cold hard chunk hit his head. And they chased him down and he went to court. Another guy dressed as Super Mario was accused of groping a woman. And a guy dressed as the Cookie Monster was charged with shoving a 2-year-old, and an Elmo figure pleaded guilty to disorderly conduct after unleashing an anti-Semitic tirade. So if you go to Times Square, watch out for the costume characters. They're dangerous. Let's see. I got that one. Okay, hold on. Just a couple more. Oh, this one's kind of incredible. This couple rode from Morocco to New York City, 6,500 miles. And there's pictures of it out of Reuters. They rode in a 23-foot boat called Spirit of Madiba in December and wound up at the Statue of Liberty. We were naive. We thought the Atlantic would be this calm little pond that you just row across. Yeah, that's what it was, just like on the Titanic. It was a nice, calm little pond. And by the 5th day, we were saying to each other, what is going on? It should be a lot calmer. The sea was very, very angry. Yeah, it insulted the ocean. That's why it wasn't calm. You made the ocean mad at you. So, they ran out of fresh water because their desalinator broke. So they made it to New York. But I wouldn't do no rowing 6,500 miles. Take a plane, for God's sake. What the hell they come from South Africa. What the hell are you going to do in the rowboat? And let's see what this one. Oh, World Cup fans in Brazil are in wheelchairs, but they're standing up, and the police are investigating if they somehow got their tickets fraudulently. They're standing up to cheer the World Cup, so they're checking that one out. That's a weird story. Fake handicap people. Oh yeah. Speaking of which, in San Francisco, the Department of Parking says there's 40,000 handicap placards in San Francisco. And they say in the Bay Area there's thousands more. They're thinking of eliminating the right of the handicapped to park with the handicap placards. Well, I'll tell you, I walk with a cane. I got a bad knee. No, you can't see it. This thing swells up with fluid. I got no cartilage left. I'm going to go to physical therapy and get surgery in a couple months. I'm legitimately physically handicapped. Forget about my weight. I'm talking about the knee. But I've seen guys that are bodybuilders. I mean, they're built like super buff guy, and they come out of the cars. It doesn't look like a damn thing wrong with them. They're not walking no cane. They're 18, 19, 20 years old. They got the placard. They got the plates. Most of the time they got the placard. A lot of these guys have the temporary placards. And the article I read in the SF Gate today said that optometrists, chiropractors, not just doctors, can sign a form and you get this placards. But the city is, you could park all day. Well, when I go to my medical appointments at UC or around the city or around town, we park in the placard space. But there are people legitimately handicapped, older people and people who walk with canes and walkers and foldable wheelchairs that need those spaces. If they want to do something about all these people parking handicap spaces, do some background on them, see if they're really handicapped or not. That ain't right to try to ruin it for everybody. And let's see here. Oh, we got that one. Okay, hold on. Uh, oh, yeah, New York. You can't have a photo with the giant kitty anymore. They got a bill. Cuomo is going to decide what to do about it. I've always wanted to do this too, but not for dating purposes. Guys are going to animal preserves and taking photos of them hugging, petting, or touching tigers in New York State. Manhattan Assemblywoman Linda Rosenthal said she introduced the legislation to increase safety at traveling circuses and county fairs that allow the public to get up close and personal with their big cats. But the Democrats are always wanting to interfere in your lives and tell you what to do. Proudly said the bill would destroy a trend prevalent among users of dating apps, men snuggling with tigers. Gee, we had the man show, women jumping on trampolines. Maybe they should have done a men snuggling with tigers segment. In reckless attempts to look brave or cuddly or even implausibly, both in their dating profiles on online services like Tinder and OkCupid. They can still pose with bears and monkeys. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know how women feel about posing with a bear or a monkey. And is it going to be a little bear or a big bear? And what kind of monkey you're going to pose in? Where does this woman get her weird ideas? And the wacky bill puts a crimp in one of the most annoying internet memes this year. The craze even inspired a Tumblr blog called Tinder Guys with Tigers that connects ridiculous photos of men clutching at the jungle beast. She says the legislation was needed. There have been 7 instances where the tiger escaped or hurt New Yorkers. Well, if I were in New York and I were a tiger, I'd probably want to escape too. There were only 2 big cat maulings at traveling shows in the last 10 years, and you'd face a $500 fine if you get caught hugging a tiger on video, on pictures. And they say here that there's no way really to enforce this because you couldn't prove where the hell you took the picture with the giant kitty. But this is when government keeps telling people what to do all the time. So you better get your kitty from another state and stamp the thing you're in such and such a state. Here's another weird story. A man spent £15,000 to follow celebrities so he could take a selfie with them. Paul Carrington has been snapped with Tom Hardy, Dark Knight Rises star, pop star Peter Andre, and the star of Benefit Street, White D. Never heard of any of these people. But in his quest to get the perfect picture, Mr. Carrington, the comedian, has maxed out his overdraft in credit cards. He spends 6 months planning his trips, pinpointing the exact locations that stars will visit. Each trip's cost to £1,000, including travel, living costs, and photo printing. Why didn't you just print a picture of these guys on the wall and Photoshop him in the picture? You could save all that money. Send a few of them bucks to me. There's the idea for you, Paul. You don't have to spend all that money. Just Photoshop yourself in the photo, stick it on your wall, frame it. People will think you've been with, famous guys and women. You don't have to do all that traveling. Stay at home. His first celeb selfie was with actress and comedian Chrissy Rock. Who are these people? And he spent thousands on hunting celebrities. He gets a buzz from getting the pictures. His favorite is Brendan O'Carroll, plays Mrs. Brown and Mrs. Brown's boys. I've met him as himself and as Mrs. Brown. This must be an English thing. He's currently out of work. His funds have now run dry, but he hopes to rejoin the comedy circuit and continue his hobby. Well, I hope he's got good material because I think he's overdrawn in the common sense department. And here's what's got to be maybe the story of the month. Hitler's toilet discovered in car garage. The current owner is considering selling the toilet, which was used by one of the world's most evil men in the 1930s. Now, how do they know this? Is there like some Der Fuhrer mark on the toilet? I'm Der Führer und I sit on the toilet. Jawohl. It was situated in a room adjacent to Hitler's throne room on his yacht, the official German state yacht, the Aviso Grilli, or Grill, which was built in 1935. It was the largest yacht in existence at the time and was home to the same toilet and now sits in a car repair garage. Now, the toilet was found by a previous owner in a scrapyard in 1951. There's salvage from the yacht all over town. Now, why would you tear up Hitler's yacht? Think about that. You could make some bucks, you know? $5 a head. See Hitler's yacht. Or better still, see Hitler's toilet. See where Hitler tinkled. I wouldn't have torn that yacht down. I would have fixed it up and made some bucks, you know. See Hitler's yacht. Had a guy dressed as Hitler going in there and go in there and tinkle and come out and the Fuhrer have a picture. You could get that Paul guy. You could have a picture taken with the Fuhrer. That's probably one of the ultimate selfies. So, and Hitler took many trips in his beloved boat, which he nicknamed the White Swan. And it was a command ship in the German Navy. It was first sold to a businessman who failed to make a tour instruction. Passed through numerous owners, including the King of Egypt, before ending up broken up for scrapped. A desk used for Hitler sold for £250,000, and Mr. Keene is anxious to sell the toilet. He wants to modernize it. Imagine having it at your house. It would be a conversation starter. Yeah, you could, have it right there. Hitler's toilet. And you tell people you want to use the toilet. And here's a story. Where's Linda Moulton Howe? Bees have infested central London and shut down a school and setting up them on a car. 20,000 bees descended on a Nissan Micra and made it their home in Southsea Harris. The swarm of bees made it their temporary home and nested under the wheel well. Insect covered the green vehicle. And they were following the queen bee when they settled on the vehicle. Now, I wonder if you could drive that with the hive outside your car. It was dangerous. There were a number of children there. I called the city council. Now, I could just see the hello, city council. Yes, we'll be right out to take care of the bees. Thank you. I didn't know city councils had this special beekeeping power. Did you? Must be in the charter there somewhere. Let's see. Section 4, subparagraph 3, beekeeping and retrieval and removal. Powerful council this is, yes. And Portsmouth City Council put George in touch with bee collector Graham Cook, who rounded up the colony of bees. Another 5,000 strong swarm nestled in a Topshop store in central London. I have no idea what a Topshop store is. Tony Manning, project manager to nearby John Lewis, and a trained beekeeper, as opposed to an untrained beekeeper, dashed over to the shop to help lead efforts to smoke the European honeybee colony out. The colony was moved across the road to Westminster Cathedral, where it'll be looked after by beekeepers on top of the Catholic Church roof. Now, you're going to go to the cathedral and you're going to have bees attacking you now. That doesn't sound very smart. Nobody's thought of Westminster Cathedral since Ruly Valley did that song in the 60s. Local beekeepers were able to respond swiftly to manage the swarm, collect them into a mobile hive, and move it to a suitable location. Our ambassadors are also on site to reassure members of the public that the bees were not distressed. The bees had to get counseling for being moved, no doubt. And in Sussex, Wooddean Primary School was closed after another swarm of honeybees invaded. And the school will be closed because of the risk of children being stung. Duh! And part of this playground was cordoned off after a nest swarming with thousands of the bees were found. But I don't get the business of the cathedral. And here we go. They had a story the other day where the animal biologist said don't adopt baby mooses. in Alaska, and Alaska's been having tons of small quakes. Scientists don't know what's going on with that. And a drunk moose went on a rampage through a civic center. The sozzled moose ran amok after getting plastered and eating fermented berries and stopped because he fell into a pond. Monty the Moose, he's been nicknamed, outran police attempting to catch him, but sobered up when he plunged into the freezing pond. Apples, cherries, apricots, and other fruits fell from the trees during storms, fermented on the ground, becoming an intoxicating brew for animals like Monty. This was in the city of Semenov near Russia's Volga River. He was so drunk he could hardly stand, and they had a hard time getting him out of there. He almost drowned. And the beast was bonkers on booze, said police officer Pavel Mikachov. It was a magnificent specimen, but he could barely stand. He was so drunk. We roped him off, got him transported to the animal shelter for the night where he slept it off. Did they charge him with drunk in public? I want to know. And the moose had the mother and father of all hangovers the next day. He'll be tranquilized, driven to a remote spot. We hope he won't find his way to the big city. And the moose will have a story to tell his wife or his children. Oh, you should have heard what happened to me. I went to town and I fell in a pond and they put me in jail for the night and my head is killing me. Oh, boy. Poor Moosey. Oh, yeah, one other story I read in L.A. It's sad in one way and good in another. Lifeguards there rescued a poor deer who panicked after a guy moved in front of it. The deer ran into the ocean. The story I read in the LA Times today said that 10 deer a year drown in the ocean. They panic and wind up going in the water, and they're hard to get out of the water. So I was sad to hear that, but I'm glad they rescued the deer. Well, this is going way over what I wanted to do. So I will be back next time with more news. And I hope you all have a great weekend. I'm going to go feed the cats. It's 9:05, and I'm going to have something to eat while I'm getting sick of lasagna. But I'm going to finish cleaning my kitchen so I can cook stunning on my stove. And getting sick of canned stuff. Everything in my freezer is frozen, so I have to thaw it out. So I'll catch you next time. And once again, we'll say Free Art Bell. And see you later. Bye-bye.